Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Kim Gravel, who's here to share with us her new book, Collecting Confidence. Start where you are to become the person you were meant to be. Do you feel that you've missed out on your calling in life? Well, today's discussion is going to change all of that. So many of you know Kim Gravel. She's the host of a bevy of #1 shows on QVC and is a wildly successful entrepreneur, television personality, motivational speaker, life coach, host of the Kim Gravel Show podcast, and a leader in the fashion and beauty industry. In 1991, Kim became one of the youngest contestants to become Miss Georgia, later starred in the Lifetime Network hit docuseries Kim of Queens, and became the most frequent guest in the history of The Steve Harvey Show. In 2016, Kim launched her apparel line, Belle by Kim Gravel, on QVC, followed by Belle Beauty cosmetic line a year later. So let's welcome to the show, Kim Gravel.
Oh, thank you for having me, girl.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here again. And this time talking about your new book. I mean, congratulations. This is just such a great book.
Well, thank you, because it's the hardest thing I've ever done. Writing a book is not easy. It's not for the faint-hearted, I should say.
Oh, well, and you're so just brutally honest in your book, but in a way that I think a lot of people can really resonate. I'm listening to your story. I've got the audiobook. I'm listening to it. I mean, there are times I'm crying. You've got some wise wisdom in there.
Well, when I was a young girl, I would pray for patience and wisdom. And looking back, I might have changed that prayer when I was younger because, you got to go through a lot to gain a lot of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times wisdom is hard earned. And so, and plus I was raised by parents and they would always tell me these things. But I'm hard headed. So I'd had to go through it to learn it. But just life experience has brought me to a place where I've realized that we all have a great call on our life, And I think that's the big thing about the book I wanted everyone to take away was that it's not about my life, it's about you and your life and what you've been called to do.
Well, I'm listening to your audiobook, and it is one of the great ways to hear you sharing your story. It's so engaging. I more than likely will be listening to this audiobook several times. But one of the things that really caught my attention is how you share about our mistakes aren't really mistakes. And I'd love for you to expand on that for our listeners.
Yeah, I think the biggest get in the world is in our lives is that we make these mistakes, and even some of us make big, huge messes of our lives based on our choices or our decisions. And then sometimes things happen to us out of our control. Bad things happen to good people all the time, but the messes that we have in our lives and the mistakes that we make in our lives don't mess us up. They make us up. And it's all in, a perspective and how you look at it. And, I know so many people, including myself, who've dealt with shame and guilt over mistakes that we've made and in my life, for sure. I can only speak for myself, but other people I've talked to. And I started realizing, wait a minute, hold on, because I do have regrets in my life. I have made big mistakes where if I could go back and do it over again, I would do it differently. Some people say I have no regrets. Well, I do. There are things in my life that I do regret. However, the beautiful thing about mercy and grace and redemption is that even the mistakes and the messes that we make in our lives are used for good in our lives if we let it. And to me, when I figured that out personally, Marianne, it was a game changer of how I saw my future. It became an empowering thing instead of a crippling, paralyzing thing, those mistakes I'd made.
Well, it's so interesting how people go through, and I've done it myself too, because we all make mistakes, is this like self-loathing.
Yes.
And it's just, oh my gosh, how disempowering that is. But to kind of look at that in a different way, you really change that around.
But I have, and it's been empowering. I love that when you said that it's disempowering, because this is the thing: the power that we possess is the choices and the decisions and the mindset that we have. We can't control anything else, girl. We can't control what other people do, how other people react, how, what's going on in the world. I mean, we can't control any of that. What we can control is how we look at those things that happen to us, even the mistakes we make in our lives. Um, and I think that's the biggest stumbling block. And I will say the biggest stopper of our success is that we get caught up in the mistake instead of just taking that step forward after the mistake. It's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get up.
I know that your whole message is about gaining confidence, and man, your book is filled with it. What are some ways that women today can look at how we can build our confidence back up and stop being in these places where we're just not feeling good enough?
I think what the biggest thing with women, and just again personal experience and who and the women I've talked to, is we we can't do it all, but we do. We can't be all things to all people, but we are. And we put ourselves on the back burner. And you hear this all the time. We hear all this. I can bring home the bacon fried up in the pan. We can, but you're going to get tired. You're going to get exhausted. And I think women beat themselves up because we try to be these superheroes in our own lives, in our children's lives, or in our partners' lives, in our families' lives. And what happens is we forget who we are. Because I say, I talk to a lot of young moms, and they'll say, well, my calling in life is to be a mom. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's not. Your calling and purpose in life is not to be a mother. That's part of your life's, journey. That's that's where you are in this season of your life. That's where, it's the biggest responsibility you'll probably have in your life, but that's not your purpose and calling. And we mistake, as women, we identify that calling as, it's some seasons in our life, the way we look. Because I think when we're younger, we're always trying to look a certain way, or in that motherhood or wife role and all that. And what I want to say to women is, and that will get you to press, girl, when you start thinking about your identity and yourself and your calling in life as being what you're doing, and how you're, being there for other people, it's exhausting. And what I say to women is, that's not your call. That's one of the responsibilities you have in your life, but your calling fulfills you, and stepping into that calling fulfills you in a way that nothing else can. And it enhances all those other life responsibilities that we have, like parenthood, like being a wife, like being a grandmother, like what your career, whatever those things that you have to do in your life or get to do in your life is enhanced by being a little bit selfish. Does that sound bad? I don't want people to take that wrong, Marianne. I don't mean selfish in a way where it's all about me, but it's all about what you're here for and what you're called to do. And out of that, the energy, the excitement, the joy, still hard work, still responsibility. But when you're walking in your calling and you're putting that in the proper place in your life's responsibilities, you are inspired and energized by it.
Do women a lot of times just have a difficult time getting to this place where they can identify their calling because we're so used to carrying so many labels?
Yes. So, it's very difficult. I think and it's not just women. I will say, Marianne, I go out and speak to so many people, and I'll say to people, how many of you think you have a purpose or a call in life? How many people think that everyone has that? 100%, every hand goes up without a shadow of a doubt. No one has ever said, no, I don't think that. Everybody, 100%. I could be in audiences anywhere, male, female, mixed, everybody raises their hand. Okay, and I say, okay, put your hands down. If you know what yours is, raise your hand. And I'm telling you, Marianne, crickets. You could hear the crickets chirping. No one raises their hand and no one knows what that is. That's the big question in life. What are you here? Why are you here? And what are you called to do? I think that's the number one question people have about their lives. Now, I'm very blessed and grateful that I figured that out. And through the book, I tell you how I got there. And what I would say to people listening right now, to us, Marianne, is you do know what your calling is. It's already in you. You know what that is. But everything in this world, relationships, responsibilities, just life, is trying to distract, make you doubt, and deceive you from not knowing what that is. So in the book, I give little tips and tricks about how you can figure out what your calling is. And sometimes you've got to trace it back to when you were a child, because when you are young, you're fearless. You're limitless how you dream. And as you go on in your life, comparison happens. Some people have really bad situations when they're young, abuse, trauma, all of that stuff plays into it. And we forget. With Collecting Confidence in this book, I'm asking you to remember what your calling is. You don't have to find it. It's been found. And now we have to remember what it is.
Well, you really go into detail in your book about that, and I really applaud you because it's such a fresh way of viewing life, and it's really resonating with me. I'm sure it's that way with many people. There are a few times I was crying, and it really touched my heart. And your audiobook, I mean, wow, just wow. I've been really enjoying that.
Well, the thing is, life is a great teacher if we let it. And, I'm a woman of faith, and, I grew up in the church, and I've always had strong faith. But it was when I really started understanding that A, life is short, and B, I'm called for something great. And then I said, oh gosh, everybody is. Every single person that's drawing breath has a strong, great, impactful call on their lives. And everything in the world conspires to derail it. It's like pulling, it's like gravity. It tries to pull it out of you, tries to pull it away from you. And when I realized that, okay, all right, it was a freedom, Marianne. It was a absolute, like a bridled horse, that the gates were opened and I just started running. And it didn't happen until really a lot later in my life, in my 40s, is that I realized, wait a minute, what is all this? You do that, Marianne, right? You get to a point and you're like, what is this all about? And I started doing that like late 30s. I don't know about you, and I see it in some of the young people that I work with. They're like, what is this all about? I'm just working to get a mortgage and to pay bills and to do, it's the grind. When you're living in your calling, it doesn't become a grind. It becomes work. You're still working, you're still facing obstacles, but it becomes your why. Why am I doing this? That gets fulfilled and answered, that question.
Such a powerful, powerful question to ask, and what a powerful book as well. As we're working through just how to create better confidence in our lives and really trust in what it is that God's giving us, what are some ways that we can start walking that walk?
That's an excellent question, because the practicality of confidence is something you do have to work and build. It's laying stones up, it's building, but for many of us, we have to do some excavating first. We have to do some leveling out first. You just can't just start building confidence on a bad foundation. And so for me, I had to do a lot of self-reflection, a lot of getting quiet, being still, knowing who God was, getting in the Word, getting in a headspace to even understand the power of my calling. And what I say to many people who say, Kim, well, it's easy for you. Well, it's not been easy for me. I mean, you read the book, you'll understand it's not been easy. But it's been an adventure. And so for me, I would tell anyone listening to this, like, Kim, I want more confidence and I really want to know what my calling is. The most practical way I can share with you how to begin that process is to get quiet and go back through your life's experiences. Okay. And for some of us listening to this, you're like, I don't even want to revisit some of the mess I've been through. So when I say experiences, I mean the good, the bad, the ugly, the mountaintops, the valleys, all of it, and start writing them down. And Marianne, there's something powerful about visiting your life through the years. And I would tell everybody, start at your earliest memory. Okay. For me, how I figured out what my call was, and you have to read the book, and I don't want to bore everybody, but for me, I traced my call back to the 5th grade at an Arcado Elementary talent show. Okay. I can trace the derailment of my call from that experience and the definition of my call from that experience. You have to read the book to understand what I'm saying. But for some of us, you have to go all the way back to when you were a kid. And I really want to encourage you to do it. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 20 listening to this or if you're 72. I don't give a rip, because my mom is 76 years old and still living her calling. And if you ain't dead, you ain't done. So do it. If you will do that, Marianne, you will see the common thread throughout your life. Your call has always been calling you. It's always been there. And that's the most practical way, Marianne, for people to really start remembering and unfolding this call on their lives.
It seems a lot of times, especially for women, we feel like we're going backwards when it comes to how we're living our lives. We have our careers and our life, and then things happen. Maybe family happens, or something else.
Well, those are just different seasons. We've got to quit looking at our lives as one and done, and look at it more like a movie or a book. That, like, you might be in the season of, motherhood where you're in the throes of it. And that was me. I was a stay-at-home mom for 5 years. And I thought my life was over, Mary. I thought, this is it. This is all I'm going to do. I have all these dreams. I have all this thing. I want to do all this stuff. And it's over. You always think that until you come out of that season. And wow, my life was just beginning when that was happening. So it's never over. It's only over when you're 6 feet under, and it's not even over. You're just, you're moving on. But what happens is that we think that we've aged out, or we're too fat, or we're too thin, or we're too old, or we don't have the education. I mean, there's always an excuse we can, claim for any season of our life. But I'm telling you, whatever season you're at in your life, it's just for the season. There's more for you. There's more waiting for you. There's more. And some people are like, well, I've had all this success. What else is there for me? Oh, there's something more. There's always something more. There's always something bigger and better out there for you.
Do you continue to make discoveries about yourself as you go along your path?
Oh, yeah. And I had one this week. I had a realization about, I have a good many employees, and I'm so blessed to have such smart, great people working with me and for me. And I just learned this week, Marianne, I'm like, wow, Kim, everybody don't think like you, hon. Everybody don't see it your way. I mean, I'm always being taught. God is such a gracious teacher. I'm always growing. And the beautiful thing about when you realize what you're called to do, and you're in that mindset, and you have that way of looking at your life, it becomes an adventure, and it becomes this PhD master's degree program on how to become your best self and most confident self. See, my confidence is not in who I am and what I do. It's in who he is and what he's called me to do. And so you can't shake that kind of confidence. And so everything becomes a teacher or an adventure. Every problem, every person, every day, I'm learning something new every day.
Felt that your book really is an invite in many ways, and it to really reclaim our faith, regardless, to reclaim our faith as for our higher power and for God. And so in that, it really has me looking at how we view our world and our place within it.
Right. Yeah. And how can we be created so small and yet so big at the same time? I think about those things all the time. If because my grandmother used to always tell me, I'm from the South, honey, and there's always a little Southern saying for everything in life. And I wish she was still alive because she just could spout them off. I mean, she talked in sound bites. And she used to say to me, she goes, honey, ain't nobody better than you, and you ain't better than nobody else. And I just, that's how I feel about our place in this world and how God created us. We're so finite and small, but so great at the same time. And it's because we need more of what you have to offer. And by you, I mean everyone listening. Marianne, the world needs more of you and what you have to offer. And when you look at your life as being one of many, but the impact is great, then you get excited because you stop looking at Sally or Joe or whomever and say, well, what are they doing? And I wish I could do that. And you start really getting, that's what I said, a little bit selfish, not selfish in a way where it's all about me, but it's what is for me is for me. And that is where it becomes empowering. And that's when, and my grandmother says, she goes, my cup runneth over. That's when your cup runs over into other people's, encouraging other people and helping other people rise while you're rising too. That it's all in how we look at it. Every bit of our life is how we are viewing it. And I'm not talking like toxic positivity, Marianne. I'm not saying just think it, believe it, you'll be it. All of that is great and wonderful. But I'm talking about digging a little bit deeper into a call. See, the word calling is different than purpose, because purpose it's a very technical term, and it's very what you are doing in your life. Calling is, the Latin word is vocar, which means to call. It's more spiritual, what I'm talking about. It's more of something that you don't do, you just are. You are called to something impactful and greater than just what you do. And when you figure that out, nothing can stop you. Nothing.
Love that. I love that. That really puts into perspective the purpose in many ways why each and every one of us are here. We have our own specific calling.
We do. And again, it's like my call is to build. That is, and normally your calling, you can drill down to one or two words, Marianne. It's not this big sentence. I'm here to love. We're all here to love. That's not a call. We all here to love. I'm here to, it's not a do. It's who you are. And so I know my calling is to edify, which means to build. And so for me, that can be building businesses, that could be building relationships, that could be building people, that could be, building, things, actual products. So if somebody comes to me for an opportunity and it's not to edify, it's not to lift up and to build, I don't do it. And I have no problem saying, yep, that's not for me. That's not what I'm made to do. And it frees you up to do things that fill you up. My very best friend, I'm so blessed to have her in my life, and business partner, hers is to bring order. Give that girl an Excel spreadsheet or a spice rack that's not in alphabetical order, and she comes alive. And I mean, it's that simple, but it's so hard to figure that out. But when you do, Marianne, there's a freedom in saying no, because women have a hard time saying no, girl. We have a hard time saying no. And there's a freedom also to say yes to things that we know we should be doing.
That is just so empowering. I just love that. And one of the things that really stuck with me is your down home words of wisdom for mom and dad.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love those.
Can you relate to those at all, Marianne? Did you hear any of those
Every
growing
single, oh, I'm not all of them, but there's a few of them. I'm like, that's going to be my new motto,
I know, right? And what I love about it is, I'm very Southern, but those truths and those wisdoms, they're universal. They're universal. Because look, Marianne, we're all the same, just in different ways. That's the beauty of humanhood, is that we're all brothers and sisters. And we all have a special calling on our lives. And so when you look at people who, we live in such a divisive world now. My Lord, I've never seen anything. I'm exhausted. Just listening. And I'm thinking to myself, y'all, we all the same in different ways. we all want to be loved. We all want to give love. We all want to be successful. And we all want to know why we're here. And then I'm going to take it a step further. We all want to have the confidence to walk in that. Every single person on this planet.
Well, I just absolutely love your book. I thought there was just so much there in Collecting Confidence that I am easily going to be listening to this audiobook multiple times. There's just so much that I've gained. Oh my goodness. And we haven't even talked pantyhose story. I mean, there's so much there.
Yeah, I do get raw and real. You said that at the beginning, and I would agree.
Yes.
Maybe oversharing might be the right word.
Well, I think it's something that we all go through. We all have days where we're having, bad hair day, something's happening. And to be honest and authentic about that, I think is something that a lot of people can relate. We're not all, trying to pretend that we're Instagram filtered.
Right.
Cute, and after a while, I'm not saying that I don't love my photographer for him making things look a certain way, but but after a while of just having this persona, it's like, when do we get to the real us,
Yeah. And when we get there, that is when I said earlier, we all need more of who you are in the world. When we get to the real us, that's the good stuff. I say people are like jelly donuts, and you got to squeeze them to find out what's on the inside. And the squeeze are your problems, your mistakes, your messes, your obstacles. That's the squeeze. So you find out the good stuff or the beginning of the good stuff in that jelly donut when you squeeze it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Some of us are in the squeeze right now. Some of us are in hard times right now.
I think a lot of people are going through that, and that's why your book has been as popular as it is and continues to be. My goodness.
Well, I mean, there's a book in all of us. The book, there's a book in everyone listening to this. You've got a story to tell, and everybody needs to hear it.
Well, Kim, I know you have a club and you've got such great resources on your website. Where can our listeners go and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
Oh, you can go to collectingconfidence.com, kimgravel.com, any social media, Kim Gravel, and do share your messages. And it's a sisterhood. It's a community, and it's a place where you're going to be lifted up and encouraged. So come on by and see me anytime.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne.
Well, thank you, Kim. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Collecting Confidence. Start where you are to become the person you were meant to be. Collecting Confidence is available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and all indie retailers. And remember, support our indie bookstores. If you don't see it on the shelf, please ask for them to order it. You can also visit Kim at her website at Kim Gravel, that's spelled KIMGRAVEL.com. We're going to pause here for a quick message from our sponsors that make this show possible. We'll be right back after these messages.
Are you a coffee lover who wants to make a difference? Look no further than Fire Department Coffee, a veteran-owned business that gives back to support first responders in need. Each batch of coffee is freshly roasted right here in the USA by a dedicated team of first responders and coffee experts. So when you enjoy a cup of Fire Department coffee, you're not only drinking high-quality coffee, you're supporting members of your community. Start your day with a coffee that gives back. Visit firedepartmentcoffee.com. That's fire, D-E-P-T, coffee.com.
Are you looking to untangle life's riddles? Discover the profound teachings of Dr. Shai Tabali, renowned philosopher, best-selling author, and your guide to self-empowerment. With methods that harmonize psychological and spiritual principles, Dr. Tabali's wisdom offers a pathway to holistic transformation. Take that first step today and join thousands globally and embrace the journey to higher consciousness. Visit shaitabali.com, that's SHAITUBALI.com now.
Hello, Dr. Cutler here. Do you experience bloating, heartburn, food craving, bowel irregularity, food sensitivities, weight issues? If you do not digest your food, you may be deficient in macronutrients, which your body needs for optimal health. DrEllenCutler.com teaches that this is an enzyme deficiency. I believe the most important supplement is a full-spectrum digestive enzyme, Dr. Ellen's Way Digestive Enzymes. Hear more about it at DrEllenCutler.com.
Are you chasing profitability yet losing fulfillment? Let me introduce you to your solution, the Relaunch Company. I'm Hillary DeCesar, an entrepreneurial performance coach, fearless leader of the Relaunch Company, here to help put the pedal to the metal and relaunch your business your way. Visit www.therelaunch.com. Take the free quiz to learn 3 steps towards waving goodbye to burnout and hello to success.
The book Terminal Cancer is a Misdiagnosis, authored by Danny Carroll, is on sale at Amazon now. Licensed psychologist and psychotherapist Tessa Antiojon-Guerra commented, "This is one of the most empowering books on a topic of cancer you will ever read." Award-winning author T.L. Needham commented, "This recommended book can be understood by anyone seeking answers, hope, and alternatives to a terminal diagnosis. Buy it now on Amazon.com.
Are you feeling disconnected from your life and your body as a woman? Do you feel numb emotionally and/or sexually and just not sure how to feel really alive again, or maybe for the first time? Are you struggling with body and self-acceptance, especially during menopause? If you'd like to reclaim your feminine and learn more about women and gynecology and how it can help empower your life, contact Gina Cloud at www.ginacloud.com.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.